My friends, life often feels like a cozy blanket on a winter night. Comfortable, safe, and familiar. But the truth is, if we stay wrapped up in that comfort for too long, we may never discover how strong, capable, and limitless we truly are. Growth doesn't happen where we feel safe. It happens where we feel stretched. Think about a seed. It lies in the soil, comfortable, protected. But if it doesn't break its shell, push through the dirt, and struggle toward the sunlight, it will never become a tree. In the same way, each one of us must break our shells. The shells of fear, laziness, and doubt. The gym teaches us this every day. The muscle grows not in comfort, but when it is challenged, stretched, and even torn a little. Similarly, our character grows when life challenges us. Stepping out of the comfort zone is not easy. It brings uncertainty, fear, and sometimes failure, and God. But let me remind you, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a step toward it. 60 hours in God. Every successful person has walked the dark tunnel of discomfort before reaching the light of growth. So, whenever you feel nervous about trying something new, remember this. The discomfort you feel is not a sign you are failing, but a sign you are growing. Don't avoid it. Embrace it. Comfort feels like a warm bed on a cold morning. You know that moment when your alarm rings and your mind whispers, just 5 more minutes. And God, that little voice, is the comfort zone speaking. It tells you that where you are is safe, secure, and familiar. And honestly, there is nothing wrong with comfort. It is necessary sometimes. But the danger lies in staying there too long. Comfort gives us temporary peace, but robs us of long-term growth. God, imagine a bird sitting inside its nest. The nest is cozy, the surroundings are familiar, and there is no threat. But that bird was not born to remain in the nest. It was born to fly. If it never dares to spread its wings and face the open sky, God, it will never know the true meaning of freedom. In the same way, we too have wings of potential, but often, God, we often keep them folded because the nest of our comfort zone feels safer. Our mind works in a very interesting way. It tries to protect us from anything that looks uncertain. And God, that's why when an opportunity comes, instead of excitement, the first feeling that arises is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. So, what do? We say, maybe later, and crawl back into our safe shell. 16 hours in God. But let me ask you this, how can you discover new possibilities if you never step into the unknown? Think of an athlete preparing for a race. If they only train at a level that feels easy, they will never improve their speed or stamina. Their potential stays locked. It is only when they push harder, sweat more, and face discomfort that their body adapts and grows stronger. Life works the same way. Comfort gives you rest, but discomfort gives you growth. The truth is, comfort zones create illusions. They make you believe you are happy where you are, but deep inside, you know you are capable of much more. Many people spend years in the same job they dislike, in the same routine that doesn't inspire them, simply because it feels secure. But secure in God, but without growth becomes a cage. You may feel safe, but you are not free. The magic of life begins when you take one bold step outside that circle of comfort. That first step may feel shaky, but every step after that builds courage, strength, and confidence. Remember, comfort is never where dreams are realized. 16 hours and God. It is only when we challenge the limits of what feels safe that we unlock the greatness hidden within us. And growth is not something that arrives at our doorstep wrapped like a gift. It is something we earn by facing challenges head on. Challenges are like the storms in life. At first, they appear terrifying, uncomfortable, even unfair. But have you noticed that every storm, no matter how strong, eventually passes? And when it does, it leaves behind clearer skies and, more importantly, stronger roots in the trees that faced it. In the same way, every challenge we face strengthens us in ways we could never imagine while we were inside the storm. Think of a diamond. In its original form, it is just a piece of carbon, nothing extraordinary. But under immense pressure and extreme heat, that carbon transforms into one of the most precious stones in the world. Without pressure, there is no diamond. Similarly, without challenges, there is no growth. Pressure and struggle refine us, they shape us, God, and they bring out the brilliance that lies hidden within. When we shy away from challenges, we deny ourselves the opportunity to evolve. Imagine a child learning to walk. Every step is a challenge. They stumble, they fall, they cry. But they try again. If the child decided that falling was too painful and choose to never attempt walking again, they would remain crawling forever. The 16 hours in God, it is only embraced the challenge of falling and rising again that they learn to walk and God to run and to explore the world. The same principle applies to all stages of our lives. Challenges test not just our skills, but also our character. They push us beyond what we think we are capable of. Many people pray for an easy life, but an easy life rarely produces strong people. Strong people are built when life places hurdles in their path, and instead of sitting down in despair, they find ways to climb over them. And God, the real growth is not in avoiding obstacles, but in learning how to overcome them with resilience. If you look at any successful individual, God, you will see a pattern. None of them reached where they are without challenges. Every great story of achievement has a chapter filled with struggle. 16 hours, the challenge, is the bridge that connects where we are to where we want to be. God, without walking across that bridge, no matter how shaky it may feel, we remain stuck on the same side. So when challenges come, and they surely will, welcome them as opportunities in disguise. Then God, they may look like problems, but hidden inside every challenge is a lesson, a strength, and a new version of ourselves waiting to be discovered. God, growth is not found in escaping difficulties, but in embracing them with the courage to say, "This is hard, but this is how I will grow." Every seed holds within it the potential of a tree. Yet, and God, that potential remains locked unless the seed is willing to go through the uncomfortable process of breaking its shell. The shell is protective, it feels safe, 16 hours in God, but it is also the very thing that prevents the seed from becoming what it was destined to be. Similarly, each one of us carries enormous potential, but to realize it, we must be willing to break the barriers that surround us. Think for a moment about the journey of that seed. It lies buried in the dark soil, surrounded by pressure, heat, and moisture. At first, nothing seems pleasant about the situation. It would be much easier to stay in the shell, untouched and unchallenged. But if the seed refuses to break open, it will rot away in obscurity. Growth demands courage. It demands that the seed sacrifice its comfort in order to rise toward the light. And so it is with us. Our barriers: fear, self-doubt, procrastination, and the opinions of others. Feel like protection, but in reality, they hold us back from becoming who we are meant to be. Many times, we remain trapped in invisible shells. We tell ourselves, "I can't undo this," or "What if I fail?" Those are mental shells. Some of us live inside social shells, ours and God, where we are more concerned about what people will say than about what we truly want. Others are trapped in emotional shells, unwilling to forgive, to trust, or to move forward. But just like the seed cannot grow without cracking open, we cannot grow without breaking these barriers. History is filled with people who dared to break their shells. Every inventor, every leader for 16 hours in God, every artist who changed the world had to break away from limitations imposed by society and even from the fears within their own hearts. They chose the pain of breaking open rather than the comfort of staying safe. God. And because of that choice, they discovered their true potential. Breaking barriers is not about reckless risk, it is about courageous growth. When the seed cracks, it does not instantly become a tree. It goes through stages: fragile sprout, young plant, and then eventually a strong tree. In the same way, when we break our barriers, progress may be slow, but every step forward is proof that we are alive and growing. Yes, and God, breaking barriers hurts. It feels uncomfortable, even frightening. But the pain of growth is always better than the regret of stagnation. 16 hours in God. The shell was never meant to be your home. It was only meant to be your starting point. To unlock your greatness, you must be willing to crack open, rise up, and push through, just like the seed. 6,000 God. When you walk into a gym, you'll notice one simple principle in action. No muscle is built without resistance. A dumbbell may look like just a piece of metal, but when lifted repeatedly, it creates pressure and strain on the muscle. At first, it hurts. At first, it feels impossible. But over time, that very resistance steals tiny fibers in the muscle. And as the body heals, those fibers rebuild stronger than before. This is how strength is created, not by comfort, but by resistance. Life works in exactly the same way. Our struggles, difficulties, and obstacles are like weights in the gym of life. Every challenge we face is resistance training for the soul. If we avoid resistance, if we never test ourselves, we may remain comfortable, but we also remain weak. True growth requires us to endure the pressure, embrace the pain, and keep pushing forward even when we feel like giving up. In my 16 hours in God, imagine someone who only lifts weights that feel easy. They pick up the lightest dumbbell, do a few repetitions, and put it down. Day after day, week after week, they follow the same routine. Will their muscles grow? Of course not. In the same way, 16 hours in God, if we only take on tasks that are simple and safe, we will never grow beyond our current capacity. Growth demands that we carry heavier weights, face tougher challenges, and stretch beyond our limits. Resistance also teaches us discipline. It shows us that progress is not instant. You don't lift a weight once and walk out with big muscles. It takes repetition, consistency, and persistence. Similarly, one challenge does not transform us overnight. But when we keep showing up, when we keep moving forward despite difficulties, we develop inner strength. Slowly but surely, life shapes us into stronger versions of ourselves. Consider the people we admire most: athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, or artists. Every single one of them has faced enormous resistance. They didn't reach greatness because life was easy. 16 hours and God. They reached it because they embraced the weight life placed on their shoulders and used it to build resilience. Yes, resistance can be painful. Muscles itchy after a workout, just as hearts itch after failure or rejection. But that pain is proof that growth is happening. It is a signal that you are moving beyond what you once thought possible. Without resistance, we stagnate. With resistance, we evolve. So, when life gives you challenges, don't see them as punishments. See them as your personal training ground. Every difficulty you endure is strengthening your character. Every setback you overcome is building your resilience. Just as muscles grow by lifting weight, we grow by carrying the burdens and tests that life places before us. Whenever we step into something new, unfamiliar, or demanding, one feeling shows up before anything else: discomfort. Our heart races, our palms sweat, and our mind begins whispering, "This doesn't feel right. 16 hours and God. Maybe I should stop." That uncomfortable feeling often tricks us into believing we are doing something wrong, when in reality, it is a sign that we are growing. Hours in God. Discomfort is not failure. It is evidence that we are stretching beyond the boundaries of what we once thought was possible. And God, think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. In the beginning, it feels unnatural. They wobble, God, lose balance, and sometimes fall. Every fall stings, and every scratch feels discouraging. But what is really happening? The child is not failing. They are progressing. The discomfort of imbalance is training their body to find stability. The awkwardness is the process of learning. Without that discomfort, they would never ride confidently on two wheels. Life follows the same pattern. The first time you speak in public, the nervousness in your stomach is discomfort. The first day at a new job, when everything feels confusing, that's discomfort. Ours and God. The first attempt at a new skill, when your hands don't move the way you want them to, that's discomfort. And yet, in all these cases, that uneasy feeling is the proof that you are in motion. If you only ever did what felt natural, you would never move beyond your current level. Discomfort is like the soreness after exercise. When your muscles ache for 16 hours in God, it's not because something went wrong. It's because your body is adapting to new strength. The same applies to the mind and spirit. Discomfort shows that you are breaking old patterns and forming new ones. 16 hours in God, the caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly without struggling inside its cocoon. The discomfort of that struggle is what gives it the strength to fly. The problem is, many people misinterpret discomfort as failure. They believe, if this feels hard, maybe I'm not meant to do it. But in truth, everything worthwhile begins with a phase of unease. That nervousness, that awkwardness, that resistance, it is the birthplace of growth. So instead of running away from discomfort, learn to welcome it as a teacher. Each time you feel it, remind yourself that you are not failing. You are expanding. And God, you are moving toward a better version of yourself. Progress is rarely comfortable, but it is always worth it. The cocoon may feel tight, but without it, the wings would never form. And God, fear is one of the most natural emotions we experience. It exists in all of us, regardless of who we are or what we achieve. 16 hours in God, from the child afraid of the dark to the adult afraid of failure, fear accompanies us at every stage of life. In fact, fear has an important purpose. It protects us from danger and keeps us alert. But the problem arises when fear, instead of being a signal, becomes the driver of our decisions. When fear sits in the driver's seat, we stop moving toward growth and begin circling endlessly in the same comfort zone. Consider a person standing at the edge of a swimming pool, wanting to learn how to swim. God, the fear of drowning keeps them from stepping into the water. Day after day, they stand on the edge, watching others swim, wishing they could too. The fear itself doesn't drown them, but their decision to obey fear keeps them from learning. This is how fear works. It doesn't always harm us directly, but it paralyzes us with hesitation, stopping us from stepping into opportunities that could transform our lives. Great achievements in history were born not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of courage. Courage is not about having no fear. It is about moving forward despite it. A mountain climber feels fear when looking at the steep cliff, but chooses to climb anyway. An entrepreneur feels fear when starting a business, but chooses to take the risk anyway. A student feels fear before exams, but chooses to study and face the test anyway. Fear is natural, but it does not have to be final. What many people don't realize is that fear is often exaggerated. Our mind paints worst-case scenarios far larger than reality. We imagine humiliation, failure, and God, or rejection, when in truth, most challenges are far less dangerous than they appear. Once we take that first step, the monster of fear often shrinks into something small and manageable. It is important to understand that fear can be a compass. The things we fear are often the very things that carry our greatest potential for growth. Public speaking, for example, terrifies many people, but it is also one of the most empowering skills one can develop. Fear is like a signpost pointing toward areas where we can grow. So when fear arises, don't let it control your choices. Acknowledge it, thank it for trying to protect you and God, but then move forward with courage. Fear is natural, but it was never meant to be your master. And God, you were not born to live small just because fear whispers in your ear. Growth demands that you hear the fear but follow your purpose anyway. Failure is a word that frightens many of us, yet is also one of the greatest teachers in life. From the earliest moments of our existence, failure has been a constant companion. Ours and God, a child learning to walk stumpless times before taking their first successful step. Imagine if the child, after falling again and again, decided to quit. Humanity would still be crawling. The truth is, failure is not the end of the road, but a stepping stone toward progress. Into 16 hours and God, what makes failure so intimidating is not the event itself, but the meaning we attach to it. Many see failure as a sign of weakness or proof that they are not good enough. But in reality, failure is simply feedback. It tells us what doesn't work so we can move closer to what does. Thomas Edison, when asked about his failed attempts at inventing the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset turned setbacks into stepping stones, and his persistence lit up the world. Every great achievement carries within it a history of failures. Athletes lose matches before they win championships. Writers face rejection before their books become bestsellers. Entrepreneurs watch businesses collapse before building empires. Failure is not a detour from the path of success. It is the path itself. Each stumble provides a lesson, a new perspective, and a chance to grow stronger. Consider the process of learning a new skill, whether it's playing an instrument or mastering a language. Mistakes are inevitable. Wrong notes are struck, words are mispronounced, and attempts fall short. But those mistakes are not dead ends. They are the stepping stones that shape mastery. Without them, there would be no improvement. The danger lies not in failure itself, but in how we respond to it. Some allow failure to paralyze them, and God, convincing themselves that they are incapable. Others choose to see failure as a temporary event. Ours and God, not a permanent identity. One leads to stagnation, the other to growth. The choice is always ours. Failure also humbles us. God, it reminds us that success is not an entitlement, but something earned through resilience. It teaches patience, persistence, and empathy for others who struggle. Often, the people who inspire us most are not the ones who succeeded instantly, but the ones who kept going despite countless failures. When we begin to view failure as a stepping stone, we free ourselves from the fear of trying. We understand that each setback is simply part of the journey. And God, the path to growth is paved with failures, but each one brings us closer to our destination. Falling is not the opposite of rising. It is the process that makes rising possible. God, every remarkable achievement that has shaped history or inspired humanity once began as an uncomfortable step into the unknown. Nothing great was ever born in the safety of comfort. Comfort maintains what already exists. Discomfort creates what the world has never seen before. The truth is, every invention and God, every breakthrough, every life-changing idea was once outside someone's comfort zone. Think of the first person who decided to sail across uncharted seas, not knowing whether they would find land or fall off the edge of the world, as many believed back then. That step was terrifying, uncertain, and uncomfortable. But it led to the discovery of new words. And God, imagine if they had chosen to remain in the safety of familiar shores. History would have been different. Their discomfort became humanity's progress. Inventions, too, were born this way. The airplane, for example, was once just a dream, and those who pursued it were ridiculed. People laughed at the idea of humans flying. Yet, 16 hours and God, the Wright brothers dared to step outside the comfort of logic and tradition. They risked failure, mockery, and danger. Today, because of their courage, we can cross continents in hours. What once seemed impossible outside their comfort zone is now a normal part of our lives. Even in personal growth, this truth holds firm. The student who becomes a doctor, the athlete who wins a gold medal, or the artist who inspires the world, all began their journeys by stepping into discomfort. Long hours of practice, countless failures, and endless sacrifices marked their paths. Each step forward required them to leave behind the ease of comfort and embrace the struggle of growth. The reason every achievement outside the comfort zone is simple: comfort is about safety, while achievement is about expansion. The comfort zone keeps us where we are. Achievements demand we move beyond where we've ever been, ours and God. The gap between who we are today and who we can become tomorrow is filled with challenges, risks, God, and uncertainties. Only those willing to walk through that gap discover their true potential. And God, it's easy to admire the achievements of others and forget the price they paid. We see the success, but not the discomfort behind it. We see the medal, but not the years of sweat, the invention, but not the countless failures in the 16 hours and God, the performance, but not the nervous nights before stepping onto the stage. Every story of greatness is also a story of someone who dared to live outside comfort. So, whenever you dream of achieving something meaningful, remember this: it will not feel easy. It will not feel safe. It will not feel comfortable at first. 16 hours in God. But that is the exact proof that you are on the path of growth. For every great achievement that exists today was once only possible because someone had the courage to leave the comfort zone behind. God. Every remarkable achievement that has shaped history or inspired humanity once began as an uncomfortable step into the unknown. Nothing great was ever born in the safety of comfort. Comfort maintains what already exists. Discomfort creates what the world has never seen before. The truth is, every invention and God, every breakthrough, every life-changing idea was once outside someone's comfort zone. Think of the first person who decided to sail across uncharted seas, not knowing whether they would find land or fall off the edge of the world, as many believed back then. That step was terrifying, uncertain, and uncomfortable. But it led to the discovery of new words. And God. Imagine if they had chosen to remain in the safety of familiar shores. History would have been different. Their discomfort became humanity's progress. Inventions, too, were born this way. The airplane, for example, was once just a dream, and those who pursued it were ridiculed. People laughed at the idea of humans flying. Yet, 16 hours and God, the Wright brothers dared to step outside the comfort of logic and tradition. They risked failure, mockery, and danger. Today, because of their courage, we can cross continents in hours. What once seemed impossible outside their comfort zone is now a normal part of our lives. Even in personal growth, this truth holds firm. The student who becomes a doctor, the athlete who wins a gold medal, or the artist who inspires the world, all began their journeys by stepping into discomfort. Long hours of practice, countless failures, and endless sacrifices marked their paths. Each step forward required them to leave behind the ease of comfort and embrace the struggle of growth. The reason every achievement outside the comfort zone is simple: comfort is about safety, while achievement is about expansion. The comfort zone keeps us where we are. Achievements demand we move beyond where we've ever been, ours and God. The gap between who we are today and who we can become tomorrow is filled with challenges, risks, God, and uncertainties. Only those willing to walk through that gap discover their true potential and God. It's easy to admire the achievements of others and forget the price they paid. We see the success, but not the discomfort behind it. We see the medal, but not the years of sweat, the invention, but not the countless failures. In the 16 hours and God, the performance, but not the nervous nights before stepping onto the stage. Every story of greatness is also a story of someone who dared to live outside comfort. So, whenever you dream of achieving something meaningful, remember this: it will not feel easy. It will not feel safe. It will not feel comfortable at first, 16 hours in God, but that is the exact proof that you are on the path of growth. For every great achievement that exists today was once only possible because someone had the courage to leave the comfort zone behind. Life constantly presents us with two roads. One is smooth, familiar, and easy. The other is rough, uncertain, and demanding. The first road promises comfort. The second promises growth. At first glance, the easier road seems more appealing. Who wouldn't want a life without struggles? But over time, we realize that ease does not give us lasting fulfillment. True satisfaction comes only when we choose growth, even when it requires sacrifice. Think about the moments in your life that you are most proud of. Were they the times when everything was simple and effortless? Or were they the times when you pushed yourself beyond your limits, faced challenges, and achieved something you once thought was impossible? Fulfillment doesn't come from ease. It comes from effort. The joy of earning a degree, building a career, raising a family, creating art, or mastering a skill lies not in how easy it was, but in how much we grew in the process. Ease gives temporary pleasure, but growth gives lasting meaning. For example, and God, sitting on a couch, scrolling endlessly through a phone may feel easy, but after hours, it leaves us feeling empty. On the other hand, hours and God, working hard on a personal goal, whether it's learning, exercising, or creating, may be tiring, and God, but it fills us with a sense of accomplishment that no comfort can replace. Choosing God, choosing growth often means making uncomfortable choices, waking up early when you'd rather sleep in, studying when you'd rather relax, taking risks when you'd rather stay safe. In those moments, the mind argues, stay comfortable, you've done enough. But the heart knows that fulfillment is waiting on the other side of effort. The temporary sacrifice of ease leads to the permanent reward of growth. The greatest lives ever lived were not built on the foundation of comfort and God. They were built on courage, resilience, and persistence. Every breakthrough, whether in science, art, sports, or leadership, came because someone chose growth over ease. And God, they dared to endure struggle because they valued fulfillment more than convenience. What makes growth so filling is that it aligns with our deepest nature. Human beings are not meant to stay stagnant. We are wired to expand, learn, and create ours in God. When we choose ease, we go against this natural drive, and that's why it often leaves us restless. But when we choose growth, even though it is harder, we feel alive, purposeful, and deeply satisfied. So the next time you face a choice between the easy path and the challenging one, remember this. In God, ease may comfort you today, but growth will fulfill you for a lifetime. True fulfillment is not found in what comes without effort. It is found in what you become because of it.